The United Kingdom's Ministry of Defense latest intelligence update on Ukraine, July 10, 2023. Russia is almost certainly struggling with a crisis of combat medical provision, after suffering an average of around 400 casualties a day for 17 months. The influx of military casualties has likely undermined the normal provision of some Russian civilian medical services, especially in border regions near Ukraine. It is likely that many dedicated military hospitals are being reserved for officer casualties. As claimed by the head of the Kalashnikov Company's Combat Medicine Training Division, it is likely that up to 50% of Russian combat fatalities could have been prevented with proper first aid. Very slow casualty evacuation, combined with the inappropriate use of the crude in-service Russian combat tourniquet, is reportedly a leading cause of preventable fatalities and amputations. The Institute for the Study of War, Russian Offensive Campaign Assessment. Ukrainian officials stated on July 10 that Ukrainian forces have fire control over Bakhmut and Russian ground lines of communication around the city. Ukrainian Deputy Defense Minister Hanna Maliar stated that Ukrainian forces have taken control of unspecified heights around Bakhmut, allowing Ukrainian forces to establish fire control over Bakhmut itself. Ukrainian officials have recently signaled that Ukraine seeks to trap Russian forces within the city, and it appears that Ukrainian operations in the Bakhmut area in recent days have been intended to slowly envelop Russian troops in Bakhmut and on its flanks. The Institute for the Study of War was previously conservative when assessing claims of Russian fire control and general interdiction of Ukrainian ground lines of communication in and around Bakhmut as Russian forces gradually took control of the settlement. But Ukrainian claims of establishing fire control may be more credible. Both Ukrainian and Russian sources have indicated in recent days that Ukraine is gaining ground in the Bakhmut area and on its southwestern flanks, including specific terrain features that can give Ukrainian forces fire advantage. The fear of Ukrainian fire control and imminent threats to Bakhmut is also permeating the Russian information space, and Russian military bloggers have repeatedly expressed fear over Ukrainian forces encircling Russian forces in Bakhmut. Russian sources claimed at least since February that Russian forces maintained fire control over critical Ukrainian ground lines of communications around Bakhmut, while Ukrainian officials and sources did not express concern over these Russian claims, in contrast, and withdrew their forces in good order in the face of the Wagner Group's expensive frontal assaults. The persistent signaling of Ukrainian officials about Ukrainian operational intent in Bakhmut, alongside the clear concern of military bloggers over exactly what this intent may be, suggests that Ukrainian counteroffensive actions in this direction may be credibly threatening the Russian hold on Bakhmut, although it is far too early to forecast the liberation of the city. The Institute for the Study of War key takeaways today. Ukrainian forces conducted counteroffensive operations on at least 3 sectors of the front on July 10. Russian Chief of the General Staff and overall theater commander Army General Valery Gerasimov's first public appearance since Wagner's rebellion supports the Institute for the Study of War's previous assessment that he will likely retain his official position within the Russian military. The Kremlin and Western intelligence officials reported that Russian President Vladimir Putin met with Wagner Group financier Yevgeny Prigozhin on June 29 and/or July 1, following Wagner's armed rebellion on June 24. Putin's decision to meet with Prigozhin is inconsistent with the Kremlin's prior rhetoric about Prigozhin and his role within the Wagner private military company. A Kremlin-affiliated war correspondent characterized the Putin-Prigozhin meeting as the Kremlin's attempt to gently replace Prigozhin and restructure Wagner. Gerasimov's public re-emergence and the acknowledgement of the Putin-Prigozhin meeting is likely a part of the Kremlin's wider narrative effort to portray itself as fully in control following Wagner's rebellion, while also reaching out to those who lean toward loyalty toward Wagner, and especially Prigozhin himself. It is unclear whether any agreements between the Kremlin and Prigozhin will prompt significant numbers of Wagner personnel to agree to sign contracts with the Russian Ministry of Defense. Chechen Republic head Ramzan Kadyrov claimed that Chechen Akhmet special forces have deployed to the Bakhmut direction, but a local Ukrainian commander denied having encountered Chechen forces, suggesting that these Chechen elements are not making significant frontline contributions to Russian operations in Ukraine. Former Russian officer and prominent critical nationalist military blogger Igor Girkin claimed on July 10 that he managed to deliver a speech in St. Petersburg despite efforts by law enforcement to censor him and prevent the speech from happening. Russian and Ukrainian forces conducted ground attacks along the Kupiansk-Svatov-Kreminna line and in the Bakhmut direction. Russian forces conducted ground attacks along the Avdiivka-Donetsk city line. Ukrainian forces conducted counteroffensive operations south of Orikhiv in western Zaporizhia Oblast on July 10. Russian forces are continuing to suffer significant casualties on the battlefield. Russian occupation officials acknowledged widespread utility service disruptions in occupied Donetsk Oblast.